Welcome to Bill and Rob's, an excellent adventure. I'm Bill Tilley.
And I am Rob Schulte. Bill, it is time for Trio, the third, RoboCop 3 from 1993.
You know, I never looked up like what the Bruno Mattei version of this would be. Like, would it be Sideborgo Tres or, you know, Steals of 3? I don't know, but I'm sure it's glorious, whatever it is.
You know what? You got to look it up now, Bill. That's all there is to it. When you have a moment between housework, podcasting, your day job, working on Greatest Gen, please look up the Bruno Mattei.
Oh yeah,
RoboCop 3.
This to me from the master of the schedule that is packed full 6 ways from Sunday. To this day, dear friends, my wife and I still debate and guess about how much Rob actually sleeps. At the moment, we're somewhere between 2 hours and none.
Robo producer. That's what it is.
And I think so. I wouldn't be at all surprised if someday I just see him and a little piece of red light comes out from behind one eye. I'll be like, I knew it.
Dead or alive, you're podcasting with me.
Exactly. Your sound is terrible, creep.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, I will tell you, it has been made a lot easier just sitting down and learning the software, right? Like I know that's easier said than done, and I have many years on it. And here's one of these exclusives for you Patreon people. Sometimes just dedicating an hour to saying, I'm going to try and learn how to do something through YouTube videos will save you hours and hours and hours.
Yes.
May not save you hours that one day you're sitting down to take an hour to learn, but over the course of the next few months, you might save yourself a lot of time. And in that, I should also say, Bill, I had a thought and I just totally lost it. It'll come to me later. But I do want to say that I respect everyone who tries.
Absolutely. And odds are somebody's probably made that terrible journey ahead of you, and they've made that video just so you won't have to have such a bad time. So please do take a few seconds to look it up. It's worth the time. I have actually embraced it. I have a friend who has not. He is squarely in the Encyclopedia Britannica level of research, and I'm like, man, you really need to. You got to use that phone for more than just holding down the change in your pocket for the next folder pop. Love him to death. Look it up.
True. Yeah, it is one of those things where it's like, I mean, we're behind the paywall here. My mom visited recently. And I love my mother to death. I think she is... Now, Bill, I know you lost your mother within the past few years, but I hope it's okay if I ask you a question about
Absolutely.
Moms growing older, right?
Absolutely. Ask away.
Your mom seems like she was always a very nice person. Was there ever a point in your life where you were like, my mom is not the mom I remember as a child?
Yes.
Did something like that ever happen? For good or ill, but like this is a different human being. And partially it's probably us in a way, but
yes. And looking back on it, especially as she got older, I did realize that I love my mother. She did a lot of wonderful things for me, but the weird part is as I got older and saw things, I started to realize that she wasn't as much the person I thought when she was young. She was doing things that were part of her character, that they weren't abusive in that certain sense or anything like that, but she wasn't always easy to get along with. She had her own personality problems. And when you get older, you kind of see and you look back on your memories and you go, oh, I guess that was a thing, some of that back then. I was just little and didn't always quite matter to me. So yeah, and it's unfortunate. And aging also had a lot to do with it because your life changes, your body changes. You know, I'm sure we'll be there too. You build up a lot of resentment for the things you can't do anymore. And it changes a person.
Yeah, that's part of what I'm talking about because like my mom growing up, I mean, this is all RoboCop related. I promise you, everyone. She always had like a Mac, right? She was always top of the line computer. She went to design school like as a non-traditional student in her 30s. She really got into that sort of stuff, and now she like has to be trained how to use an iPhone. Like she just hasn't kept up with tech. And then it's like we're like constantly trying to help her not get scammed on the web, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things where it's like, you know, as high tech as things are, like I think there is you just have to keep up with it. And I think it does boil down to a little bit of like resentment and anger and frustration with the younger generation. And you kind of just got to be like, you got to chill out, Mom. Like she was on her phone the entire meal because she needed to book a hotel. And I was like, we will book the hotel when we get back to my house. Like, can we have a hamburger right now?
Yeah. The part of the attitude that becomes very unbendable tends to, in certain people, get worse. And that does happen too. And I think most people were going to reach a point where they hit that I don't want to learn anymore stage, which to a large degree I think is fine. But like people I've seen that succeed at that, like my dad and some other people were, look, I don't know the new thing, but I've structured my life that I don't really need to. And I don't bother you with it.
Yep.
So it's cool.
Yeah.
But my mother is, if you tried to show her something and you did, she would, what I believe is intentionally not learn it just so she could keep not learning it and then keep bugging you about it because it gave her something to do.
Yeah, I can understand that. Now, my dad on the flip side got remarried once I went to college and then showed me who he really was. I didn't have to learn it after years of him getting elderly. He showed his whole ass and then some. But he is also off of this mortal coil, and I don't have to spend any more time talking about it. So, Bill, should we get into RoboCop 3?
Yeah, now that we've Alex Murphy'd our memories and put the armor back over top of our precious thoughts and feelings, absolutely. Let's get into this movie. I'm going to assume that somewhere there at Casa Schulte, down in the biometrically locked fortified salt mines, you've gone down and pulled out your VHS copy of RoboCop 3?
Of course I did.
A little about this movie?
It's still in pristine cellophane, and it is fantastic. Here is what the back of the box has to say in big red letters first. America's #1 crime-fighting cyborg returns in an explosive action adventure. RoboCop 3. Omni Consumer Products, OCP, the conglomerate that designed RoboCop, now owns Detroit. The company plans to demolish one of the city's largest neighborhoods to build a gleaming city of the future. After an army of ruthless mercenaries finishes throwing everyone out of their homes. After an army of ruthless mercenaries finished throwing everyone out of their homes. You can keep that in, Rob Adler. I think people need to know how difficult this is to read sometimes. But RoboCop, Robert John Burke, alarm bells, sworn to protect the public, joins forces with a band of urban freedom fighters battling to save their neighborhood. After battling a lethally efficient ninja android, say that 5 times fast, and equipped with a new arsenal of high-tech weaponry, RoboCop and the courageous residents take on OCP's private army. It's all-out war, an explosive street fight that could destroy either the entire city or the evil powers behind the brutal corporate raid. Now, there's a pull quote at the bottom, Bill. I guess not a pull quote. It's a review quote. The best RoboCop ever. And that's by Candy Taylor of KSHB TV. Candy,
well,
you're on the list.
Absolutely. I mean, forget your Siskel's and your Eberts and your Ropers. I mean, Candy Taylor's going to give you the straight score.
The best RoboCop ever. I'm looking up Candy Taylor, KSHB KSBC, is that what I
This
said?
This is the kind of research I love.
KSHB, okay. Because we got to know where Candy's at now.
Please still be on the payroll. Just still be there. Still plugging away.
I'm getting Cameron Taylor. No, Candy Taylor. Candy Taylor, self-employed. Kansas. Nope, no. Could it be that Candy Taylor is a pseudonym?
Could it be that backing that up just ruined what career Candy had and had to take it on the lam?
And this is a Kansas City person, so I should know Candy Taylor, KSHB. But,
you're going to do that Midwestern thing where
yeah.
Oh, I know somebody in Kansas City. Do you know them?
Hey, sure, but if they're on the news, maybe I had seen them somewhere.
I mean, we all know each other. That's how the Midwest works.
I mean, if this was Brian Busby saying the best RoboCop ever while wearing a cowboy hat and doing the weather, then that'd be something else.
Or Gene Shalit.
Yeah. Bill, I have no memory of RoboCop 3. And this is I give myself a pass for RoboCop 1 and 2, right? I was just too young. But RoboCop 3 came out the same year as Jurassic Park. And I have huge memories of that. This just, nowhere near. I think I had a RoboCop toy, and I think it had the rocket attachment to it at one point. But the movie, no memory. I don't remember any of these scenes. I did not know about the jetpack. Nothing at all struck a memory for me for this film. So
they went in and they just blanked all your directives.
Yes.
Rob's
1 through 4.
Just kind of blinked a little bit, and then it went away, and then it came back up, and it was a Christmas party, and some office worker kissed him, and it went away. Yeah. No, I remember the movie. I remember not seeing it in the theaters for sure. It was on cable. Once it got released there, I saw it. I didn't rent it, and it was around, but I don't know. I guess I'd seen RoboCop 2, and I wasn't blown away by that movie, so there's that diminishing returns of I wasn't really worked up to go see it. And when you see the trailer, it's this looks a little hokey, but there's also something about it that I will get to in one of my points later that kind of really gave me pause as to even knowing if I was going to care to watch this at all when I saw it the first time. So it definitely didn't make the big splash. I do believe this was the tail end of Orion Studios going bankrupt. And so they didn't market it well. I know about that. I looked into some of that. They put their money in some other places, and it just, I guess you could say it was kind of a casualty of that happening. So it did get the short shift in some of that, but depends on when you watch this movie. Do you really think that it deserved a bigger push than it did get? So I think that's something we will probably get into.
Very true. And we should get into our patented segments. Let's start with some fun facts in a segment I like to call Rocket Science.
Hits them right over the fence every time.
Yep,
I love it. Love it.
Bill, we're eye to eye on this sort of thing. You want to go first?
Sure. Of course, this is RoboCop 3, and one of the big points about it is this is not a Peter Weller movie. Peter Weller could not do the movie. It's not that he didn't want to do the movie, I found out. It's that he couldn't do it. He had other commitments. So they recast the part with an actor named Robert John Burke. And I've seen some interviews, looked him up on YouTube, and some in the past, some in the present. Really nice guy. Really intelligent. Kind of seems like a really great dude. And one of the things that he said was, when they hired him for this job, was he purposefully, when he came into it, did not try to reinvent RoboCop. He was hired to put this character back on the screen. He said, I was there to carry on the work that had been done before me with the character, and kind of seamlessly, as much as he could, not jar people from the fact that he wasn't Peter Weller. He wasn't directly trying to ape him in any way, but his movements and everything that he'd established to be RoboCop, he did. He worked with the same mime coach. He did the same kind of training. He did all that stuff. And I thought that was really commendable, because when he talked about it, he didn't say it with, I had to do somebody else's performance, or they wouldn't let me put my own spin on it. He put his ego aside and said, this is what they hired me for. And I guess this was his first major film role. He'd done some other stuff, but this was his big starring role. And so he was extremely happy to have it, which he should have been. I totally understand that, because always remember, these people are working for a living. Their life's goal is not to carry on the love of our franchises and not disappoint us. They're there to do jobs and do them as best they can. And being a guy who could be that young and be given what is really a big market name, I think everybody knew it, and to put your ego down and say, look, I'm just going to do the best I can to make sure people believe this is the RoboCop world that they've been used to, was really kind of amazing. And it's a sentiment that I wish a lot more creatives would have if they get involved with pre-existing franchises. I'm not saying crush your creativity, but you kind of need to carry on and honor what's come before you and expand it and not try to reinvent it. That's how I feel about things. So his take on it was really, really awesome. And it really made me like him a lot. And I hadn't looked into him because this is not my favorite RoboCop movie. I'll just say it up front. But after seeing it, I wish I'd seen an interview with him at the time, because it made me like him a lot more. And I think that would have really taken a lot of the sting out of Peter Weller not being Alex Murphy for this movie.
Well, yeah, and to that point, it's one of my fun facts, rocket science, is that the only reason you said it, he had another commitment. Peter Weller had another commitment, and it was Cronenberg's Naked Lunch.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And Naked Lunch famously came out in 1991. This came out in 1993, but it goes to show you how long they waited to put out RoboCop 3, probably due to the Orion bankruptcy.
Yeah, I read enough about it to know it was a real mess, which is kind of strange. Like, just one of those Hollywood things where you think, like, this was a studio that just a few years earlier had this major dinger over the fence. And within that short amount of time, that's the movie business. Like, you have to keep that machine going, or you put all your money down and somebody kicks the legs out from under it, and that's the end of the road. That's terrifying.
It. Yeah. Well, my other rocket science is that the director, Fred Decker, said that, like, one of the biggest issues going into RoboCop 3, and this makes so much sense, Bill, is that, like, Murphy / RoboCop's story had all but been, like, wrapped up for all intents and purposes, right? Like, it was a stretch in RoboCop 2, which left a lot of dangling threads and questions unanswered, but, like, still, like, you kind of got it, right? It was a stretch to even do RoboCop 2.
Right.
And so there was nowhere for the character to go. And that was made even worse by the fact that, like, the studio, obviously, you can tell in watching this, wanted him to tone down the cynicism and the violence. And it's just, you know, politically, people didn't want RoboCop helping the unhoused. And it's all these sort of things where it's just like, well, what the hell do you want me to do with a children's movie, with this script, with this character that's based off this fucking hard R-rated original movie? It's, you know, I think this is kind of like the Robert John Burke stuff. Like, you go in, you're like, well, I'm not going to reinvent the wheel here, but, like, I can only do so much with what I'm provided with, right?
Yeah.
And I think Robert John Burke did a good job as RoboCop, for sure. And I think Fred Decker did a good job making this film with the tools he was given.
Yeah, I'll agree to that. I think the movie looks good. I mean, it's not a bad looking movie. It's definitely professionally done. Of course, effects are the one thing we always say. They don't always age as well, but still.
But he's not getting Jurassic Park Spielberg money to make RoboCop 3. Like, it just ain't happening.
No, and effects don't have to be the argument for a bad result. You can do different things. And I'm with you. I think you can't go from Paul Verhoeven and what originally was an X-rated cut for this movie down to a PG-13, which I think we're looking at the real basis for the cartoon when we look at this. And, you know, that just comes down to corporates trying to sell toys. But and it just cuts the character in half. And my other fact, I think really dovetails into that, but my fact is less of a fact, more of an observation, because one of the writers on this movie is Frank Miller. Frank Miller was involved in RoboCop 2. And I'm watching the movie last night. I hadn't seen it in a long time, so don't remember any specifics. And I'm realizing he has recycled a lot of story elements from The Dark Knight Returns in his script. Mm-hmm. Some of them were in the last movie, but in this movie, it feels like he really pulled some things, not word for word, but the whole idea of, there's a group in the movie, they're the gang in town called the Splatterpunks. And they're a bunch of murderous, killing, anarchist, near psychologically damaged, kind of Mad Max type kids and groups. And in the Dark Knight Returns, there's a group called the Mutants, and they basically do the same thing. And it hit me because the Splatterpunks wound up with two dudes running around saying weird things like, RoboCop, he nuts, shoot him in the mouth. Like this clipped English that was just like the copy for Rob and Dawn in Dark Knight. And I'm like, that's just, it's lazy. And I don't mean to throw stones at Frank Miller, and I'm not against a writer reusing themes and ideas in different ways. And even if you had a script that didn't get used for one thing, using it for something else is great. But, I'd read that book, and that just really hits that you didn't put the best effort forward in this story. And it shows. And all the things that you mentioned before, I think that really highlights that the biggest villain RoboCop's got going for him after the first movie is the stories in his movies. And this one really lets him down in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and I think that it is, to play devil's advocate on this, Bill. Well, first of all, I want to say I think you're completely right. But also the idea that Frank Miller had to butt heads with the studio on RoboCop 2, and yet they still want to bring him back for RoboCop 3. He's probably like, well, fuck it. I'm not wasting more time on something I know they're going to just like hack and slash and take the worst of the worst and put my name on it. Mm-hmm. And so like, I could totally, like, if I were Frank Miller in this scenario, I could totally be like, yes, please cut me the large multi-million-dollar check for this movie. And I will then hunt and peck for things that didn't really fit in my other stories and put them in here. And it does reek of a little bit of laziness. Mm-hmm. And I don't like that. And I think there's a lot of stuff like that going on in this film, which is why we got this film. And I think most of it comes from the top thinking they know how to make a movie. It's just like, hey, we're behind the paywall. And I think I've said this before, Bill. It's just like when I worked at large comedy network podcasting company. And I've worked in comedy podcasting for a very long time. Some may even say this podcast is a comedy podcast.
It's definitely comedy in it.
Yep.
We try.
You and I have worked together on a Star Trek podcast that is hilarious and very comedic. I've worked with comedy writers. I've got a comedy reality podcast. I have all of these things where like aspects of me, I feel, can produce comedy. I go to work for a comedy podcasting network, and I am noted to death by management. Like, you are the people who took the management job. If you would like to be the comedic brain for the thing, you go that route. Like, you took the route of management and executive, and that's because you're not currently making comedic things. So to say and sit there and say that like you don't get my comedy or you don't get this element, like note someone to death because it's not something that you think is funny. It's like, you're the fucking suit. You are the suit, and you are destroying the thing that could be more than the suit. Yeah. And that is what I think that's what we're seeing here too. You are making people who are creative not want to be creative.
Yeah, because you're not letting them do their job.
Yeah.
You're taking the franchise that turned out to be successful. And look, you want to sell toys to kids. Robot Cop. I get it. But this formula's been around. You make a Saturday morning cartoon that's completely different from the movies. The kids watch the cartoon. They don't watch the movies. The adult watch the movies because they like it. And then the kids discover that movie when they become adults. And you've got lifelong fans. But you don't go, we just need to change everything that's good about a thing because we want to sell X. And that's just comes down to corporate greed. And if you're not going to trust your creatives, well, I want them because the creatives are going to be just sitting there going, great, I wasn't allowed to do what I wanted to do, so I don't even know if it worked, but I got to take the blame for something I didn't want to do in the first place. I'm out. You know?
Yeah, it's always good to be able to have someone to deflect onto if things don't go the way you noted them to death to go to.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into some happier topics. Maybe some things we liked, Bill.
Easily.
Which is a segment I'm calling Make That 2. Because we're going to provide 2 things we liked each in this segment. And I'll go first. I mentioned Jurassic Park before. I love a good kids are good at computers and adults just don't get it, which kind of circles back to our discussion earlier this episode, right? You got to learn young on this tech and you got to stick with it. And this is definitely someone posted on TikTok a little while ago something that blew my mind. Like, I forgot that the only way Jurassic Park would like it worked was because the young woman knew Linux. Like, Newman from Seinfeld was the only guy who knew how to work a computer, and she just knew how to click a mouse and lock a door. And that's okay, cool. We've saved the day. This is like, this girl has a laptop and she knows how to use it, quite frankly.
Yeah. It made me think that, I don't know if it was intentional. She's got some Carrie Kelly Dark Knight vibes because she's a young girl who's very tech savvy, who's able to out techie tech everybody around her to do what needs to be done. I'm not always so warm to that because I feel like that thing's kind of busted a lot. But when you're in 1990 and still, now computers are still not in every home, because I was in 1990 or 1993 when this movie was around. Like, these aren't commonplace. You know, laptops and people that know how to use computers are still kind of like wizards to a lot of people. So it doesn't carry as well today, but back then you'd be like, well, of course, because these kids just are born with a silver mouse in their mouth. That's how they know how to hack Ed 209, which poor Ed. I feel bad for Ed. He didn't even get to move at all much this time around.
No, but of course we had to get Ed. Like,
how bad did you want her to keep him as a puppy?
Oh, it would have been great.
It would have been great.
It would have been a good use of Ed. How about that? Man, well, what's one of yours? So
I really like the idea of the corporate takeover as a threat in this movie. Like, Cyborg Ninja versus RoboCop is fun, and there's some fun stuff with it, but it's going to sound like a negative, but it's not. There's a lot that's there that I did like, and I'm glad that this is an element in there. It breaks up what's come from RoboCop before, because OCP's always stood on its own. But think about it. If this movie had been more of like an OCP versus Kanemitsu with Detroit and its citizens caught in the middle, because we've already established in RoboCop that corporations are near godlike entities, and this is an over-the-top world where you can blow up a Bob Morton just because you don't like the fact he's getting in on your program.
Yeah,
like they would have needed to circle back to Verhoeven a lot, and if they could have got him to do that concept, RoboCop 3, I think, would have been an amazing thing. But I'm glad that it's there, and that OCP at least has somebody that's a villain against them on an equal or bigger level than just them trying to squash everybody in old Detroit.
Yeah, I get that. And I think that it is one of those things where it's like the elements are there to, like, I don't know. It goes back to everything we've talked about. Like, you have these things built into this script to produce something fun and dangerous and exciting, but right.
And they were hampered by time and budget and stuff, but it just makes you think that if they could have started taking different tacks with it, and they could have worked it small, there was a good idea to put, RoboCop against the corporation's worst thing.
And this is like my other, is that like they did the best with what they had. I said it before, right? I think it's very important to know that like this is a well-made film. Like, and when you like look at this, it's good in that route. It's just not the RoboCop we like, I think, at the end of the day.
Right. I agree with you completely. And we have said it. And this is for a late 80s, mid 80s born, late to early 90s produced movie. It's completely in the ballpark of stuff that we were just like, hell yeah, I'll watch that. If I had caught it on video at the video store, I would have definitely checked it out. So it doesn't mean, cut that. There's always that stigma, the sequel stigma. It doesn't have to be there. I think sequel stigmas happen when the sequel's just not written well. It's not good. But ones that play with that character and run with it some more and put them in different scenarios. This movie showed that RoboCop could have had more life in him if we'd really wanted it to, because he is a character that you could have stretched out. Probably not to infinity, but you definitely could have gotten another movie or two out of the franchise and probably would have made everybody really happy to see it.
Yeah. Well, we've got a few more episodes in this series, Bill, so we might see some new formations of Mr. Cop out there, but we'll get that. We'll get that. What's your other like?
So my other like, and I was very happy to see it, they finally get Sergeant Reed out in the field. Sergeant Reed has been a staple in these movies. He is in charge of the Detroit precinct where Murphy and Lewis work, and he's been there in the background, and he's huffed and he's puffed in classic movie boss kind of ways. And, he's had some shining moments, but he's never got to leave the desk. And in this movie, he rules. He finally shakes all that off, and he goes against OCP. He throws down his tinny tin badge, which I'm going to give honorable mention early in this movie to the fact that when all the cops do their badges on the ground, they throw them on the ground, and they are clearly bubblegum machine badges because they're just tink. They're just tin hitting the floor. When they see a guy step on one and it kind of bends, but Reed's just like, I don't have time for this shit. I got to do some stuff. And he gears up and heads out into the field, and he stands his ground with the locals, and all the other cops come with him. It was just great to see this character who's been there this long, which had a little more to give us on screen, and he finally got to do it. So that was great. Thank you for that movie.
I love that. Well, Bill, there's so much that we liked, obviously, and the talking points just don't stop, but we do have to veer to the side of the negative zone and maybe some dislikes, and I'm going to call them Delta dislikes this time.
The dislikes of the future start now.
Yes. Delta City, they're finally breaking ground on Delta City in this series. Do you want to go first?
Sure. And I'll tee right off the ball that you've put in front of me. Fuck Delta City.
Oh, Lordy.
They have not built an inch of this city in 3 movies. Who cares? Who cares?
I couldn't agree more, Bill. Like, what are we doing here?
Like, no progress. That's the part of the franchise that is by far the most reheated, rewarmed microwave blech that you could put on the plate of my VCR and call it dinner. It's just nobody cares. And this city's not a thing. It's just a model that changes from place to place. And we've seen it every single time, and they just keep talking about it. And I get that they've at least in this movie, they've narrowed it down to apparently Cadillac Heights is the last holdout and they need. So, I will call that progress. That's just not enough. You really needed to do, like Rob and I have talked about earlier, take this in some different direction, but nobody gives a shit about Delta City. I don't care. Don't listen to their commercials. Don't read their billboards, people. It's not a good.
Not at all. I am right there with you. No one cares in the movie or in the seats watching the movie at the Cineplex. I will start with because both of mine are actually RoboCop related. And I don't think they're like my ultimate dislikes, but I do think they are dislikable talking points. And one is that it's 20 minutes before we got a RoboCop. We get a Ed 209 pretty quick, but I was clocking it. It's like we start getting that like, is he in the car? Is he chasing the whole build up to showing us RoboCop in RoboCop 3 is lackluster. I get what they're trying to do. I really, really do. But it just falls flat. And then, and Bill, I'm just going to jump into my second dislike here. Because then when RoboCop gets out, hey, you may not know it's not Peter Weller. That mask covers a lot. But you definitely know it's not his voice because they have now given him the robot affectation kind of mechanical voice, which comes out of nowhere. So why is this happening? The blue updated plastic suit from 2 that seems to have also made it over here to 3. Okay. Looks like a showroom car. I think you said that. Mm-hmm. We can understand that from a sequel. But this voice change is... I get logistically why it's done. Dude doesn't really sound like Peter Weller, but he sounds enough, and suspension of disbelief is fine. I think it actually points out more to us that it is a new actor by changing the voice to this, mechanical sounding thing than it is anyway else. But just leaving it alone,
Hard agree, because we also get a scene later where he's got his RoboCop helmet off and we see Robert John Burke's face made up in the Murphy way. He's a lot like Peter Weller in the face. And with him being in that prosthetic, you don't see it right away. I mean, you know it because you've watched the movie, but if you just saw the picture, I don't think you'd catch on right away that that's not Peter Weller in the thing. But I'm with you. The voice... it's the timbre that they've used to augment it. And I think they always tried to give Weller a little bit of that when he was in the helmet. And, he's a cyborg, so that could be part of the reason. And even just as a movie wise, all right, to helmet off, that's his real voice. Cool. So yeah, I totally agree. And I couldn't tell I don't know if it's too high pitched, if it's too low in certain spots. It's just a little bit off. It makes him sound like Robo Dad. Like you haven't done your homework. Go to your room.
Robot.
Yeah. So I totally see your point with that one.
It is a sigh-worthy moment when that happens because we were waiting so long, and then it's just everything you said. But what's something I can't believe you might have disliked something, Bill? But is there something there?
So this is going to be the one moment that I dislike the most. I actually hate it. And I'm very
And you rarely use that word.
I rarely do. The death of Anne Lewis is incredibly stupid and incredibly poorly executed. This is the character who is only one step behind RoboCop as the tops in this franchise. She's been there the whole time. She's a legacy character. And the way she's written out of the movie is just tragic. And I'm not one of those people that's like, nobody can die because this or that. I don't believe that. I think the story, if it's written well, can make it work and make it impactful. Losing people in movies is impactful. It makes you care. It makes you sad. It's a narrative. I don't think Nancy Allen was too keen on carrying on after this. She seemed to have been cool from what I could tell with the character exiting the stage, but she's just gone. She just stands in front of an armored cyborg and lets 50 crazy private militia dudes gun her down. And it serves no purpose. That's my biggest gripe with it. It doesn't move anything. She doesn't sacrifice herself for Murphy or a person. Like, there's the tragedy of it is that this is a character that we've seen before who has died, but she doesn't die under tragic circumstances. They're just dumb, which is really bad because the setting they were in and the way they present her final moments with RoboCop are great. That last 2 minutes of that sequence is awesome, but everything that comes before that is just such a lackluster afterthought. It almost feels like we can't think of a good way to do this, so we're just going to do it and call it a day. And that is no way to shuffle off a major character.
And I'm sorry, they probably knew that this was going to be the last one, right? But why not leave on a Anne Lewis, we talked about this before, Bride of RoboCop cliffhanger, right? Why not?
Sure.
Why not fucking kill RoboCop at the end of this movie, but see that they're turning Anne Lewis into a new RoboCop?
Yeah. Those are all great options. That's all stuff within the realm of this world that would be amazing to think about. Whether they pulled them off, that would be up for the next movie. But you don't have to just dump her to the side because you need to make room for some other characters that you've written into this story. And it's not good. And I don't have any respect for this choice at all. It really, and it happens early enough in the movie. There's still a lot of movie after this that it's such a turnoff. It's hard for me to get past it, to like the other stuff that's there. And there is stuff to like.
Yeah, it's so true. Well, Bill, we gotta strap on our jetpack and get back up after this low down low moment. And I'm going to call our amusing moments segment Loyal as a Puppy, because we're still loyal to the RoboCop oeuvre. We just need to spice it back up a little bit. Do you want to go first on this one?
Absolutely. So my first amusing moment comes from Dr. Lazarus, who is the doctor who's in charge of RoboCop.
Subtlety, very key.
This movie's not good with subtlety at all when it comes to certain things. I laughed just at her name alone. Was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But there's a scene where they're basically told by new Bob Morton in the movie to ditch his memories. You know, as always, they're like, I don't know why they're still having this debate. What? He can think, he can dream. Like, asshole, we've done all this before. Yes, he can do all these things.
We get it.
So they're finally like, pull the plug, and she refuses to do it. And I don't know, she's got a packet of fruit roll-ups or something, whatever they were using for that tech. And they show her putting it on her desk, and she smashes it. So to show us, hey, she didn't do it. But the thing that she uses to smash it is called a bullet puller. It is a thing that you use. You put a bullet in this thing, and it will remove the bullet from the casing. So if you need to remove the two parts without blowing up in your face, or if they're jammed, it'll do that. And I'm like going, that's not what that's for. And why do you have it in your research lab? You're not loading his ammo by hand and putting him back out on the street. And I have to believe that some set dresser or somebody on stage just grabbed this thing because it looks kind of futuristic. It's colored plastic with a metal handle. And they're like, here. And she's like, I don't know what this is. And she just, it's 1 second scene, but I'm like, oh, that's just funny. She should have got like a Cabela's promo or something on there where they sell that kind of stuff. I've seen one. I had one. So I'm like, yep, you know what that is? That's not what you use it for at all. You don't tenderize your meat with the heel of your shoe, and you don't smash your circuitry with a bullet puller. Thank God there wasn't a bullet in it. I will say that, because that would have been a funny story on set.
Yeah. Someone call Alec Baldwin. Well, my amusing moment is there's that line where it's like, you ain't got an alien cop, vampire cop, like you got a RoboCop. But like, that was just good because it's also just like poking fun of this movie, like, and not just poking fun, like giving them amazing sequel ideas, right? Like this movie could have gone into oblivion with like straight to streaming versions of this in this world, but it ended too soon, I think.
I love your poll for two reasons. One, that makes me feel like that's dialogue that a dad would use who has no time for these movies. Like, why not? Well, you're vampires, and why don't the cops just ride horses and into the sun and kill samurai? But the other thing is, there is a knockoff movie that I am aware of where it's a RoboCop, sort of Terminator, sort of vampire movie, and it's basically RoboCop versus vampires. And I don't remember exactly what part of the world it was filmed in. I will say it was one of like the Philippine adjacent parts of the world. It Yeah, it's terrible. But I love that you said that because it makes me think, oh, somebody was listening because like, yep, we're going to make all those movies. Give me some aluminum foil and a football helmet, and we're going to make every one of these movies in the jungle for like $4. It's going to be great.
Now, Bill, would this be 1988's Robo Vampire, directed and written by Godfrey Ho? Let's just see what IMDb has to say. Narcotics agent Tom Wilde is given a second chance at life after being shot and killed. In a futuristic experiment, Agent Wilde is returned to life as an android robot, and he is sent on a very dangerous mission. Bill, I'm going to take a look here at our schedule of episodes. Sorry, one moment. This is on the fly because I feel like this is very important.
This is very important.
And I also think that it goes back to our original Predator type theme, which people, I know they all loved. And let's see here. So I've got that we're going, sorry everyone, you may have heard this before, but I've got that we're going to do RoboCop 3, and then the TV series pilot, the remake, and then we'll talk about the video game a little bit. And I have to think that maybe we should do the remake next, and then Robo Vampire after that, and kind of throw the TV pilot out. Because I feel like the TV pilot might be more like RoboCop 3. We could watch it and talk about it, but maybe a dedicated episode on Robo Vampire is very important here.
It very well could be, and you won't have to look hard because I just remembered. I own it.
Oh,
I'm talking about a movie. Talking about a movie that I'm like, wait a minute. Now I remember why it's left my memory because I haven't got to watch it yet. But it is on my Plex, so which means Rob has access to this movie.
Well, then maybe what we do here is we do, and I'm updating the master schedule as we speak. Maybe we have fun. We go RoboCop remake from 2014 next week, and then we do video game, and then we really cap off the season with Robo Vampire.
We bring it home. I like it when we've done the adjacents, so that gives me a big laugh. So I'm all for this idea.
I think that's going to be great because this also gives us like 3 very distinct episodes post RoboCop 3, which will be fun. That'll be fun. Okay, great. You heard it here first, everyone. So this is great. I guess should I talk about my other amusing moment, or did I cut you off too soon?
No,
I apologize.
You're up on deck.
I mean, we got to talk about this jetpack, and to that matter, all of RoboCop's accoutrement. They really front load this jetpack when they bust into the armory, and they're like, "What is that? Take it. It looks expensive." So first of all, they don't give us the right angle to know it's a jetpack at first, but it is something that looks like it would go on your shoulders. And then we're told it's a jetpack, and then we're given the jetpack in a scene, like one scene. I guess 2. There's a couple of scenes with it.
There are indeed.
But man, if this isn't the most clunky piece of tech I have ever seen, why does it have to be modular? Why can't it be that Dr. Lazarus or whoever builds the jetpack into the RoboCop? You're not making room for his heart or anything.
No, actually they had to replace that already. So there should be some spares in there. I don't know. I guess it's
toys probably, but
true. And for the people that wrote this movie, maybe this is their idea of jetpack that they grew up with. And
it ain't jet boots, which Kirk could tell us all about, I'm sure.
No, it's definitely not jet boots. It's not Captain Proton's pack or any of that. So it is
Rocketeer.
Wild. It is wildly funky looking. It always makes me wonder when they do those things. It's like, how do they do that and not burn the ass off of whoever's flying the thing? But his is metal, so I guess he's all right. But yeah, I mean, it's just like, it's the
amusing,
promise.
you know?
Kids love Jetpack. It's the promise of everything a kid wants. It's make it fly. That's what we want. So that's what they did.
And what about a RoboCop that can fly? I love it.
Well, next he'd be going underwater, and then we get RoboCop in space. So he's got to be
vampires.
I will actually say I'm kind of glad that it is a separate thing and not something that pops out of him, because I'm not a big fan of the infinite space thing where things just have reason.
That's fair.
So,
but I would love, like, if RoboCop could have like modular arms or something, right? Like we kind of get that with the rocket launcher.
Oh yeah.
But like, what if it was like he just replaced the whole? You know what I mean? Like he has like a pod, a 7 of 9 pod that he goes into, and it like.
Yeah. Well, irony, if I'm not mistaken, Kenner made the toys, and Kenner did the $6 billion man back in the day, and he had the toy had mission arms. You could replace his arms and his legs.
There it is.
With other stuff, so it could be done.
They're too afraid to do it. That's what it is.
At least at no point did they put like clothes on him and try to let him pretend he was. They didn't Ben Grimm him. That would have been. I'd rather have him give me weird jetpack than that. Don't give me trench coat RoboCop. I don't want.
Imagine that. RoboCop in slacks.
RoboCop in Bermuda shorts and black socks mowing the lawn with his robot lawnmower attachment.
Oh my God. Well, what's your other one?
My other one, and it's probably why this jetpack looks the way it looks. We've got to remember, RoboCop. His universe revolves around Detroit, Motor City, home of the big three, where the automobile was king for so long. At one point in this movie, RoboCop has to commandeer a vehicle. It's from a street businessman. Can you say pimp anymore? Because that's really what he is.
Well, and I think we're okay. Okay.
So he takes off in pursuit of Paul McDaggett, the head of the private army that's causing so much hassle. And this thing is amazing. I'd mentioned in RoboCop 2 in our review about how the Taurus explodes a couple of times, and that's not how cars work. Well, this really ain't how cars work, but I don't mind so much just because they leaned into the insanity of it. This thing is a Lincoln Continental. It weighs 6 tons. It's gigantic. It's all steel all over the place. This thing gets meticulously blown apart. It gets its front shot up. It gets the hood blown off. It gets the doors blown off. It gets the roof sheared off. And the thing just keeps driving. You can't kill it. And I was just in love with the whole moment. Because every time a pink body panel blew off and some fuzzy dice were incinerated off this thing, RoboCop's just charging along. I'm like, the only thing it's missing is if he'd reached over and pushed in an 8-track of Electric Light Orchestra and kept on trucking. That was the only thing this scene was missing. It was just awesome.
That would have been fantastic. Almost as fantastic as how we rate these films, Bill, which, if anyone has forgotten, should we remind them?
Always should, because every episode is somebody's first episode. This is the part of the podcast where we do our patented segment, 5 Nights for $1. Back in the day, if you went in your video store, there might have been a rack or a shelf somewhere, maybe in the back, maybe by the counter. It might have said something like 5 Nights for $1. Every movie on there was $1, and you could keep it for 1 night or 5 nights. Didn't matter. That's what you got for your buck. Everything's based on that one thing, and that's what we do. We talk about the movie we just watched, in this case, RoboCop 3. We do not compare it to sequels or prequels or other things in the series. Nothing. Just we have gone into our local video stores. We've put down 100 cents. We have been allowed to take this gloriously packaged VHS back to our domiciles. If we were lucky, we might have 6 TVs like Bob Morton, but we probably only had one. But that's okay. We popped it in, you've watched it, and now we have to say how many of those 5 nights are we going to keep RoboCop 3?
Wow. Well, who would you like to go first, Bill? Myself or yourself?
I think I'll go first on this one. This is the end of our mainline RoboCop movies, and it's your series. It's only right that you go last on this one. So, we've talked a lot of shit about this movie when you really think about it, but at the end of the day, I'm fall back on my regular common question to myself. Did this movie bore me? It's the one thing I don't want a movie to do. Please don't bore me. Entertain me in some way or make me think or do something. Just don't bore me. And the movie didn't bore me. Yes, it's a underserved sequel. It's got some problems. It's got some problems that could have been easily avoided, even with a reduced budget. Mm-hmm. It could have been a better movie if taken in a different direction, but we get what we get. And having kind of gone into this movie with some trepidation because I didn't have a real good memory of it. And I'm like, I bet I don't like it nearly as well as I thought I did when I first watched it. It's not that bad. It's really not. And if this had been a B movie with a little less budget, you probably would have got the same effect. It would have been top of the line B movie stuff. And it kind of still is. It's got a lot of playfulness to it. It's got a lot of fun with the concept. And Robert John Burke really carries on as RoboCop in a way that outside of the voice, which is not his fault, that's just something you got to live with. Very satisfying. The Ann Lewis thing sets me back, but overall, I had a good time watching this movie. A little tired on some of the tropes, a little worn at this point. It really is a movie that made me, I honestly wish for another movie that could be like, come on guys, you can do this. There's more here. Just do it. And sadly, it didn't get to. But as an end movie in a trilogy, I've seen worse. Seen a lot worse. Yeah. So I watched it late. I had a good time watching it. I had a great time talking with my friend Robs about it. So RoboCop 3, it's probably going to stick around for, I'd say, 2.5 nights. I'm probably gonna buzz through it pretty fast on the second viewing. I'm gonna blow right past the Ann Lewis part, but I'm probably gonna rewind some of the stuff at the end. I'm gonna watch some of that ninja stuff over and over again. So I'm gonna say that's a cumulative score that all evens out to that. It's worth a watch if you like this franchise and if you just like these sort of movies. You're not gonna be blown away like a RoboCop bad guy, but you are going to fulfill the prime directive of the movie had some fun in it, and that's worthwhile. It's worth a watch. So 2.5 for me.
Yeah, I think that I'm falling. I mean, I agree with absolutely everything you said, right? There are aspects of this movie we've talked to death that we didn't like. But I almost, the interesting thing for me is that like this almost doesn't feel like RoboCop 3. It feels like a RoboCop movie in the universe of RoboCop, right? Which is difficult because if it weren't for the Ann Lewis death, it could happen at any point. Like 2 doesn't necessarily have to come before this movie, right? So 2 almost feels like the end more than 3 does, right? Like this,
yes,
except for the Ann Lewis part, like this could actually be RoboCop 2. And I'd love to see a fan edit of taking the best moments of RoboCop 3 and the best moments of RoboCop 2 and making like a RoboCop 1.5, right? Like,
sure.
And so that's where I fall, because this does live in the world of RoboCop. And it does a good job. No one's really trying to take big swings. We're not changing what we know about the world. It's just this is one era of RoboCop. And I think that's fine. You know, I wish it would have ended with Ann Lewis becoming the next RoboCop, but it didn't. So whatever. If we ever got that would be the perfect ending to this 1.5 fan edit that I'm thinking of. So for that, I think I'm right there with you. I think 2.5 nights. I just don't think I could keep it more than 2.5 nights.
No.
It's more than 2. It's less than 3. It's a movie I'd watch the first night. The second night I'd probably put on while making breakfast burritos or something. And then maybe I'd like, you know, I'm thinking to the days of when I would watch these films, when I would have the basement VHS player in the house and like what I would be doing. You know, maybe I'd be sketching, maybe I would be, you know, be doing something else, but it would be on, right? Maybe it would be on one TV and like I'd have the portable TV to the side, or I'd have the Nintendo on the main home TV and I'd bring the little travel VHS built in 13-incher plugged in to have RoboCop on while I'm playing Mario or something. That's how I imagine this. So 2.5 days for me. This is great, Bill. And I am so excited to continue this on for these next 3 episodes. The remake, I don't know much of. I have to imagine that it is in the vein of because there's the remakes that people talk about now, and I will get to. Then my whole point is this is in the reign of the Total Recall remake era, right?
Uh-huh.
This is we're not fully understanding how we're gonna remake something or reboot something in a corporate sense, but also in a decently made film sense. This is when people were starting to gear up to be oh shit, we can keep our IP and keep our contracts going. We just got to make another one, kind of like the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man series, right? Maybe not the perfect Spider-Man movies, but they needed to make something. And I have to imagine that this RoboCop falls under that umbrella, kind of like the Alien versus Predator films. So we'll see. I'm excited to watch it, but we shall see.
We will indeed.
Well, Bill, I got to say thanks to you for letting me take us down this journey. Got to say thanks to Rob Adler for editing this episode, producing it. He does it out of the goodness of his heart, and for Patreon money, which is where all of our Patreon money goes at this point in time. So, listeners, if you're on Patreon, if you're doing this damn thing, hop on board, tell your friends. Let's do it. If you have joined the RoboCop series because you listened to maybe some of the sibling rivalry episodes I've made public as this season amps up, then I hope that you share the love of this with everyone in your family group chat, on social media, wherever you can to, help this little project stay afloat.
My sentiments exactly. Thank you, everybody who supports and shares the show. I probably have about 1,000 movies in a list that I want to do with Rob. So it would be great to have the ability to just make sure that we had the means to keep going on with that. And at the moment we do, we would love to get as much support as we can. Plus, we just like to hear from more of our friends out there. The biggest thing about having more shares and more support is more people get involved, and we hear from more of you guys. So what you're doing is great. We appreciate everything, and we applaud all of you who are hanging with us here every time we drop a new episode. It really is special, and I love doing it.
Absolutely. And we will see everyone next time on Bill and Rob's An Excellent Adventure.